Hello again. We're winding down. I believe that this series is going to consist of 10 video clips. And this one is number 9. I ended the last clip discussing my involvement in the occult. It all ties in. And you will see as I proceed how that ties in. I want to bring you back to where I shared that I had a strange experience in 2007 whereby I heard a conversation going on in my own head. And I responded to that conversation in my head without mouthing words. And to summarize, the message was that God has already judged the organized church. And I said, well, if he's judged the organized church and the Holy Spirit has left, then according to 2 Thessalonians, the 2nd chapter, the Antichrist must have already been revealed. That was my premise number 1. I did not want to believe what I heard in my head. I had already been to Bermuda and St. Lawrence, Georgia, conducting deliverance services prior to this strange message that I received. And I was planning to go to other areas. I have to admit, I was not satisfied with what I found in either Bermuda or Georgia. But I was prepared to persevere and move on to other areas as an evangelist. So I'm laying out this, you might say, research study in my effort to try the spirits to see if what I heard in my head be of God. So my first premise was the Antichrist must already have been revealed if the Holy Spirit is no longer in the church and the church has been judged. And then I recall the words of the Lord, where he said, an evil tree does not bring forth good fruit. So I had practically 2 studies operating that eventually converged into one study and became the book, The Fake Jesus. The Fake Jesus, Fallen Angels Among Us. Now, I didn't plan to write a book. I was trying the spirits. But so much material was collected that I needed to put it together in a book. Now, after I wrote the book, I was so astounded by what I wrote myself that I wouldn't even take ownership of it in the first person. I would write, Pastor Pam said this, Pastor Pam saw this, she said. I would not say I. I was not bold enough at that point to say I with what I discovered. But anyway, I began to study church history on one hand, and then something astounding happened. As I was watching an evangelist on a video clip, I heard her say Ashtar, Cindy Trim. As everybody fell in the spirit, bobbling around on the floor, looking, half of them looking like they were catatonic, I heard her say Ashtar. Now, some people contend with me and say that she said Esther. Maybe she did. But I heard Ashtar. And so I said, Ashtar. That sounds familiar. And I remembered Ashtaroth from the Bible, who was an idol. So what did I do? I Googled with Ashtar's name. And you can do the same thing. If you're not a reader, this video is not about my book. But just know I've done the work already. But if you want to do the work, you're welcome to do it. It took me a year to collect this material. I began to Google Ashtar. Ashtar opened a whole realm of the occult that I had forgotten about. As I pointed out in the last video, a being had manifested at a seance that I held in 1975, who, once I began to do this research, there were pictures of these beings that call themselves ascended masters. Ashtar is an ascended master who works for Jesus Sananda Emmanuel, who I call the fake Jesus. Jesus Sananda Emmanuel is one of the top fallen angels or ascended masters, because first these beings were telling people that they were aliens back in the 1940s. Around 1947 was when they first manifested. But then, as I began to research and study, and I did a rather dangerous thing that I don't recommend anybody else do. I went into numerous occult websites like a spy. And I said to myself, now, I'm going to find out if there is a connection between these fallen angels that occultists are believing in and the organized church. I'm going to let you know I found a connection. What I did was read up everything that these fallen angels tell their followers. Now, I know that fallen angels and demons lie, but a lot of their lies are based on the truth. And so I said, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to see what these beings are saying to their followers. Child, they did a whole lot of talking about Christians. A whole lot of talking about the Christian church. And the one who calls himself Jesus Sananda Emmanuel, he is the one that claims that he inspired these various artists to paint his picture with that long hair and the blue eyes, that Jesus, and to put his picture into the organized church. He took credit. Jesus Sananda Emmanuel took credit for practically starting most or all of the organized church. And he said one of his strategies was to get his picture on the walls of the organized church. Because once anything of his is accepted and received in a building, particularly in the church, that he has the right to be there, and he claimed a seat. Think about how many hundreds of years that picture has been around. So I did a study and saw what the occultists believe and how that connects to the denominations, but particularly to the charismatics. And I'm here to say to you that the one that they're all worshiping and singing to and praising and offering up tongues to and falling out slain in the spirit to, is not Jesus Christ of Nazareth. It is Sananda. Jesus, Sananda, Emmanuel. That's who they're worshiping. That's the primary reason why I say to you, leave the church. I'll be back one more time. And then this series that we have will have ended. And I'll speak again when the Holy Spirit inspires me to do another series. Not until then. See you next time.